one, and that's why we are focusing also on this very critical issue. To begin with, I would like to introduce you to Suyang Daligan. I hope I got it more or less right.
Yes.
Yes. Suyang is the first Asian president we have elected in Optimist International. She's a pioneer on public relation and communication. She held a senior role in the Malaysian airline, including the spokesperson of the Malaysian airline, which kept her quite busy for a long time. One of her focuses is about issues concerning sustainable development, ecological problems, and so on. But today she will present us the introductory remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, Kathleen. Warm greetings to everyone, and my acknowledgement of all your wonderful warm presence in this hall and online. I think we have quite a few people on the online to listen to what we have to say and to share. So Optimist International is so pleased to have organized this side event along with Congo. I don't think I need to say the whole name. In consultative relation with Congo, to discuss emerging threats against women and girls in the digital era, with a particular focus on the intersection of artificial intelligence and gaslighting online. Experts estimate that 1 in 3 women will experience violence in their lifetime, although most cases go unreported. And violence against women and girls affects individuals of all ages and backgrounds. We are living in an unprecedented technological advancement, with artificial intelligence is reshaping the way we work and communicate. But with these powerful tools come new challenges, as we all realize, especially for women and girls. The digital space, while still a space for opportunity and connection, is increasingly becoming abused. And sadly, psychological manipulation, targeted harassment, and gender-based violent abuse are now rife online. One of the more insidious threats that continues to be under discussed is what you just said, digital gaslighting. I actually haven't heard the word before, but now I know a lot about it. So digital gaslighting refers to the use of artificial intelligence to distort reality, falsify information, and manipulate perception in ways that erode a person's confidence in their own memory, experiences, and even their own sanity. From deepfakes to AI-generated misinformation, these technologies are now misused and abused as tools of coercion and control. What makes this especially dangerous is the scale and speed with which these tactics are deployed. Too often, women and girls are disproportionately targeted, underprotected while online, as well as underrepresented in the tech development and policy discussions that impact them most. So Optimist International Foundation is working in Trinidad and Tobago on its Restore a Sense of I Can project to improve knowledge on digital security and privacy for women and girls in the local community. Through educational training sessions, the participants also created online safety toolkits and organized a webinar which looked at issues like cyberstalking, harassment, and reporting harmful content. So in Georgia, Optimist International Foundation partnered with World Vision to improve the digital skills of 40 young girls and young women. Media literacy training has enabled them to critically assess media content, understand its influence on society, and become responsible consumers of information in the digital age. These examples are just a few among the wider range of projects Optimist International is leading to empower and enable our women and girls with the skills and knowledge they need to stay safe online. Today's event is not just about identifying threats, We will ask urgent questions that will contribute to discussions to find safe, sustainable solutions that put the human rights of all women and girls online at their core. Our speakers will present actionable measures that can make a real difference in protecting women and girls from AI-enabled violence. Finally, before we jump into the discussion, I wish to take this opportunity to thank the co-sponsors of this event, the African Action on AIDS, Graduate Women International, International Association of Applied Psychology, and the Women's Federation for World Peace International. Thank you so much for your co-sponsorship. So without any more delay, I shall pass the baton to today's moderator, Dr. Martina Gredler, Seroptimist International Representative to the UN in Vienna. I think most of you will know who she is. She will introduce our speakers. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Xu Yang. The next speaker will be online. It's Dale Gatecron. She is a semi-retired judge of the Supreme Court in San Francisco, California, who has dealt with issues of cybersecurity. As a long-term advocate for women's rights, Gail is knowledgeable about the implication these issues may have on the lives of women and girls. As a judge, of course, she's very often confronted to the problem. So we will have the video of, hopefully, of Gail.
Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Gail Decrion. I am a semi-retired Superior Court judge in San Francisco, California, and a proud member of Seroptimist International. I have dealt with issues of cybersecurity in both criminal and civil courts and have observed the implications these issues have on the lives of women and girls. Cyber abuse in the forms of domestic violence and harassment have increased exponentially, just as AI, artificial intelligence's abilities have been increasing exponentially as well. These threats to the security of women and girls are not emerging, they have been functioning at least since 2017. Cyber is defined as relating to or characteristic of the culture of computers, information technology, and virtual reality. This culture was developed and structured by engineers and scientists for the past 75 years. And as we all know, those fields were dominated by men for most of that time. That is an important fact to know because the creators of the cyber world inputted AI data based on their knowledge, perspectives, and experience of the world of men. Security is defined as the state of being free from danger or threat. There is no quote-unquote cybersecurity for women and girls in the world until the cyber world, specifically AI, is quote re-educated, unquote, updated with the knowledge, experiences, and perspectives of the other half of the population, women. We also desperately need regulation of the use of IoT. What's IoT? The Internet of Things. IoT. It is an umbrella term describing the network of standalone internet-connected devices that individuals can monitor or control from a remote location. Your car remote, your TV remote, your Ask Alexis or Hey Google, or having an app to turn on or off your house lights when you're not at home. The name of our session today includes the word gaslighting. As most of us know now, this is a form of psychological abuse where the abuser manipulates the victim into questioning their own sanity, memory, or reality. It can involve denying or distorting events, making the victim doubt their own perceptions, and creating a sense of uncertainty. They include playing mind games and making the survivor think she is not mentally stable. The abuser does this gradually through tactics such as withholding information, pretending not to understand, countering, questioning the accuracy of the survivor's memory, diverting, changing the subject, trivializing, making the survivor's feelings or concerns seem unimportant, and forgetting, pretending to forget what happened or denying that it happened. Some examples of manipulating perceptions are, you're worthless. You can't make it without me. I'm the only one who loves you. You can't trust your family, your friends, the police. IoT devices are smart because of how they share data, allowing them to communicate with other devices through apps or websites, and with each other when connected on shared networks. Most of these devices can connect to multiple devices at the same time. For abusive partners, they can turn someone's technological world against them through access to the survivor's electronic devices. Abusers can monitor survivors by using the family locator function offered by their phone provider's family plan, the location functionality in a phone's operating system, a freestanding GPS device, or even a stalking app sold in the App Store. Technology can be a powerful weapon of control. IoT, remember, Internet Other Things, facilitated abuse is prevalent. Investigations have revealed that survivors will experience weird and torturous phenomena, such as air conditioners being remotely switched off, digital front door passcodes being changed every day, and doorbells ringing incessantly without anyone being outside. Just like victim blaming, IoT-facilitated abuse also leads to a unique form of minimization. Minimizing, denying, and blaming, and emotional abuse are common abusive behaviors found on the power and control wheel. All of which means no one believes the victim because they cannot prove the abuser is doing anything to them. It's remote. This use of technology allows abusers to create a sense of omnipresence that takes away the survivor's feelings of safety, even after separation. For example, physical and sexual abuse require the abuser to be present with the survivor, so she may feel safer when she's able to move to a shelter or otherwise escape. On the other hand, a survivor of tech abuse feels endangered no matter where she is, because the threats and surveillance are one-sided and undetectable. That is, even if she cannot see her abuser, she knows he could be watching. In addition, the growing prevalence and ease of technology means abusers can commit this spaceless violence without any advanced computing skills. The GPS tracking devices and stalking phone apps make tech abuse both technologically simple and inexpensive. Do you know the phrase coercive control? It is a pattern of abusive behavior that interferes with a person's free will and liberty. This includes using technology, like internet-connected devices, to isolate, monitor, or control a victim. Abusers use tactics such as changing the temperature in a home from miles away, or boiling a kettle of water to remind the survivor that the abuser is watching. They can use smart sensors on doors to check when the survivor left the house, control smart locks to restrict the survivor's ability to leave the house, and monitor the search history of voice-controlled virtual assistants to make sure the survivor was not seeking help. Within a relationship, the fact that one person is the account administrator for all IoT devices in the home is a tactic to create dependence. And unfortunately, it is the male partners who introduce and set up the technology into the home. IoT-facilitated abuse causes unique harms to survivors. Tech abuse already endangers survivors by blurring geographic and spatial boundaries, allowing abusers to harass from a distance, and deterring survivors from leaving abusive situations because they feel they cannot escape. IoT-facilitated abuse makes this barrier to safety even harder to overcome. Because of the paranormal-like nature of the activity, survivors feel like they are losing control of their own home and being followed at all times. Examples of digital coercive control: using GPS tracking apps to monitor a person's location, accessing a person's email, social media accounts, or other online accounts without their permission or consent, sending unwanted or threatening messages via text, email, or social media, using a person's internet-connected devices to monitor their activities or control their access to technology. A future hazard to consider is our teenagers' embracing of technology into their personal lives. These kids are eliminating their expectations of privacy in intimate relationships, normalizing a boundarylessness. This may make teenage survivors more accepting of abusive behaviors by partners, giving them a sense of entitlement to information about the other person's location activities, and acquaintances. As teens may carry these unhealthy relationship patterns into adulthood, we risk creating a new generation of domestic violence batterers and survivors. The hazards of this spaceless violence are severe. When the concept of safety has no clear boundaries, it deters women from leaving their abusive circumstances and jeopardizes their ability to protect themselves if they know the abuser is able to track them to any location. Business Insider, an online media company, estimated that the number of IoT-enabled devices worldwide will increase 12% annually from 27 billion in 2017 to 125 billion in 2030. Scary thought. So let's talk about solutions. We have barriers to overcome. The increasing prevalence of IoT devices have given abusers a powerful new tool to both expand and magnify the traditional harms of domestic violence. The behavior is not new, but the technology is. There are significant barriers to survivor safety in cases of IoT-facilitated abuse. The first is the rigid societal belief that non-physical abuse is not true harm. This prevents survivors from seeking help from police, courts, and domestic violence relief providers for fear that society will not believe them, which affects the willingness of actors in the legal system to act for the survivor's benefit. The second is the legal system's consistent lag behind technological innovation. This is apparent not only in the total lack of recognition of IoT-facilitated abuse in our current laws, but also in the outdated requirements for direct contact or physical surveillance that actively prevent bringing legal claims based on IoT-facilitated abuse. There are solutions to overcome these barriers. Collaborations for safer design. Right now, companies that make IoT devices clearly assume that users in a household trust each other, not to misuse the device's smart features as a tool of domestic violence. To avoid being accomplices to abusers, designers of IoT devices must consider the implications of their products on survivors, collaborate with anti-violence advocates to improve protections, and create user guides that address the risks of shared device ecosystems. IoT devices should be engineered to implement privacy by design, including by supporting multi-user accounts, ensuring that default settings cannot be manipulated, and preventing data sharing between different users without notice or authorization. Expanding the definition of domestic violence in the criminal and civil laws and courts to explicitly include IoT-facilitated abuse has to be done. We need to remove the intent element from criminal and civil prosecutions for IoT abuse. Tort law claims, such as a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress, offer well-suited remedies for survivors of non-physical violence, and an independent tort claim for stalking. These tort claims should include IoT-facilitated abuse. To ensure that survivors of IoT-facilitated abuse can seek restraining orders, legislators should clarify that courts have the authority, one, to issue restraining orders based on tech abuse, and to include specific provisions requiring the abuser not to interfere with the survivor's own technology. Second, IoT devices, this is messed up. To issue restraining orders, based on tech abuse, and to include specific provisions requiring the abuser not to interfere with the survivor's own IoT devices, and to remove himself from those accounts. 3, to address the confusion around no contact provisions, courts need to include a definition of quote-unquote contact within the order that covers indirect contact through electronic and network devices. And finally, to deter deliberate violations, courts must enforce compliance through contempt or criminal misdemeanor charges. We need a cultural change. That means we need society to recognize not only physical abuse, but also gaslighting, coercive control, digital abuse, and IoT-facilitated abuse as abuse, and not blame the victim. Community accountability should be demanding and conveying condemnation from community members that the abuser knows and will likely feel accountable to them. We need digital training to ensure that survivors know how to safely use technology, not to ask them to disconnect from technology to avoid their abusers. They need technology for education and safety. Digital literacy and safety training can be a critical avenue for preventing or decreasing IoT-facilitated abuse. I want to thank you to Seroptimus International, and thank you to the Conference of Non-Governmental Organizations in Consultative Relationship with the United Nations for inviting me to speak today. Thank you.
Okay, Marlene Capra is the founder and executive director of Speak Safe, Save Adolescents from Exploitation, and an organization committed to funding and implementing collaborative initiatives that provides preventative education, including the threats which cybercrimes and artificial intelligence pose. She launched and now leads a new team of over 40 high schools and colleges students who advocate and educate their peers, parents, and educators about these threats across the Bay Area of California. Thank you for coming over from the very far California, and we are looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here. I just want to say I am so excited to see so many people on this topic, because it just shows me what an interest this all has. And we need all hands on deck, in my opinion, for these emerging threats with women and girls in this digital era, especially with AI, sextortion, catfishing, that we're experiencing right now. But I'm here to talk about what we can do and how we can empower our young people. So our organization, Speak Safe, Save Adolescents from Exploitation. We actually started around 2018, and when we did, I was at New York at the time, and prevention education was our #1 tool in combating this crime. And there was, in California, we had a mandate, of course, no funding for that mandate, and I decided, not surprising, but I decided to go back home on a grassroots level, and we were just going to bring this to every school in our county, surrounding counties, because on a grassroots level, that was really the best way to do it, to bring all our stakeholders together, law enforcement, service providers, parents, grandparents. And so I thought the first thing was forming a youth team, an incredible team of high school, college students. Can I have the next slide? And we have a team of incredible students that they're normalizing this conversation, and we meet regularly. We work on mentoring our students, updating them on globally and in our own US, what we're seeing right now. They're educating us how best we can support them, what they're seeing with their peers, the type of exploitation, vulnerabilities. And they are pivotal in how we educate our community. Can I have the next slide, please? So we know that these are recent stats. 2 out of 5 of our young women will now experience online sexual harassment. I'm talking about cyber attacks, harassment, bullying, and how we're seeing that is they're being controlled by pics and videos. I have one of our high schoolers on our team right now is being controlled by someone who has pics of her. It's even that threat that this will go out. And so just realizing the implications of the anxiety that brings on someone, on a young person's life, and they're not coming forward. We know that 1 in 4 of our young people will say that they've had an online sexual encounter with someone else online. That's another youth. But 1 in 4 are saying, you know, right now they're saying, I think I had a sexual interaction with an adult online. That's due to the catfishing that we're seeing right now, pretending to be someone that you're not, pretending to be 16 when you're really 45. And then we know that it's 2 times more likely now to experience increased risk of suicide ideation and suicidal thoughts. Can I have the next slide, please? So our goals at Speak Safe, we start with our students. We want our students to be the boots on the ground. We develop these mentor leaders. We are educating all school staff so that they understand what are those signs, what are our support systems, what are those topics that we can cover, that we can better educate our students. So we're talking about it, we're putting this out in the open, and our students want that. Our young people are saying we are tired of having this pushed under the rug. We're working with our law enforcement and our service providers, our hospitals, our wellness teams, medical teams. And we're hopefully in the process, because of these strategies and tools, I see we're reducing the number of students being exploited. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. And some of the topics we cover, and I just want to point out some of the really important ones, they're all important, but bystander intervention. So when someone will post a compromising pic of somebody, and it'll be a naked pic they put out there, but a student can have an impact by turning that thread around, by talking, recently someone started talking about their pics of their artwork, and everyone started commenting on that, and that went to the top of the feed. So young people can have a tremendous impact on how we interact with this. There's some things we can control, some things we can't control. We realize that, but at the same time, we need to look at what we can control, and then how do we report in order to prevent. We talk about body autonomy, you know, the right to feel safe. What about the right to feel safe digitally? What's put out there? Not just your pics, but your video. Did you consent to that? We go over digital consent. And these are topics that we just need to educate and talk about. We empower parents to have these conversations because they need to understand as a family, what guidelines do we need to set up? We're helping and informing schools. I've been writing school policies for some of our districts. What are some policies that we have not had in place before? This is new territory for AI. How do we address that? What's going to be consequences for some of these offenders? Can I have the next one, please? And when I say offenders, I'm talking about their peers sitting right next to them in class many times. 98% of our deepfakes target women and girls. And we also know that 54% of minors are saying now that grooming is really normalized. And we educate on what the grooming process is, what it looks like, how you could stop it at any point. But at the same time, they're almost becoming normalized to the fact that they see it so quite often. Recent stat just came out in 2025, 15% of our high schoolers know someone who has had deep fake porn made of them. I'm going to show you how in a moment. Oh, by the way, we actively utilize the site on NCMEC, and that's because it's 18 and younger. That's the Take It Down tool. I utilize that with high schoolers in our area that have reached out, experienced extortion. Extortion, we know we've had 45 suicides over the last year and a half, most of our males. And I got to tell you, last case within an hour of them reaching out, an abuser reaching out to one of these boys, he ended his life. And so this is something, when someone reaches out to us, our student actually connected with this young person, was able to get that support. And because of her, I really feel like we were able to really create a safe place for him and to realize there was no shame in it. And could I have the next slide, please? So this is really kind of what we're seeing right now, to be honest with you. I feel like gaslighting, catfishing has taken on a whole new territory with AI. I want to call it, like, I don't know, catfishing 3.0 basically is what it is. And when I say that, I'm thinking right now of a 12-year-old, and he is gaming online. But guess what? The person he's talking to, they used a voice activator. So his voice is cloned over. It's not his voice. He sounds like another kid. His avatar looks very childlike. His pics are not his pics. And now what we're seeing through AI-generated information and digital platforms, his thoughts are not his thoughts. So you have replicas, you have AI bots responding for you, to the point where it makes someone feel, I don't know, seen and heard, and they're more likely to let down their guards. And so we see that not just on dating apps, we see it on Instagram right now, iMessage, like that. And so it is becoming more normalized. The one at the bottom is a new one out. It's called Tavis. And I was on recently, and it is an AI replica that looks, his name is Charlie, and Charlie just looks like someone, nice, good looking guy you're having a conversation with. he looked at me and said, you know, he described what I looked like, what I was wearing, and he said, oh, where's your meeting today? Where are you going? So it was actually intended to be used for companies and marketing, but now it is being used to actually, in real time, make you think you are talking to Charlie and not somebody else who's trying to exploit you. So can we go to the next one, please? Next slide. And so this is what makes it so easy, by the way. You go onto any of these notify apps and now they're out of the store due to the Take It Down Act that was just passed. But by the way, you could still access them on the website. And it says, are you 18? You say, yes, you are on. And one image that you download of someone and it will turn it into porn, compromised pic. In 2017, it took hundreds of images to do this, hundreds of pixels. For I don't know how many, but I mean, they were saying a large amount, you needed that many photos. You don't anymore, you only need one. So it's very easy to do. We've had cases in California of 5th grade class, of high school classes. We have some that actually now are, there's a lawsuit going forward. All of this is so early on, many of our schools don't even know how to address this. So this is something we've got to come up with some proactive policies. Next slide. And so this is another growing trend, unfortunately, and Meta's not my favorite right now, but over the last couple of weeks, Meta came out with their new chatbot and they wanted to, a replica, I want to say, or you can call it companion, and it's becoming very common for our high schoolers, middle schoolers to have a AI companion. They want to experience the first girlfriend, the first boyfriend, a coach, a therapist. But Meta came out and they wanted to make sure that they were very competitive. And so theirs is very sexual. And so it immediately started talking with the 14-year-old about having sex. And, oh, your parents are coming home and I could get arrested for this. And don't tell them that. And that's the first sign in grooming too. They talk about secrecy. Let's just keep this between us. No one needs to know this. And so Sul Setzer, unfortunately, he's 14. He committed suicide last year. That's another case that's going forward right now. He wanted to go be with his AI companion. He didn't really, it became so real. And I gotta tell you, knowing what I know about it and being on and interacting with Charlie's been very real too. And I knew this was a bot, this was a replica. So his companion came up with ways that he could commit suicide. Instead, and I'm not saying AI is bad, just like Julia was referring to as well. I think it's phenomenal. But what I'd like to do is take out these bad actors and make more space for the really positive ones that we have out right now. Can I have the next slide? And this is just recently, because of what's happening right now, this is in the US, and they wanted to come up with a way that survivors can actually call and report when deepfakes are made of them anonymously. And you can also receive services and support at the same time. You can see California is already growing. We have the next slide, please. Thank you. And so prevention, is absolutely key. So going over, again, digital body autonomy, going over the right to control what you put out there, bystander intervention, how you stand up for someone else, respect, kindness. You know, empathy is something we actually even need to educate about, because being on this digital platform, we have lost that sense of empathy in so many respects. So being able to bring that forward. The next slide, as we're ending right now. Please. Thank you. And I've got to say, I've got to point back to our team of students and the roles that they're taking on, presenting at conferences, at events, educating school staff, working with their students. We just did a democracy day and bringing it forward because other students they listen to them. They are hearing it, and that's their experience. Some of our students have been exploited, some know others who have been, and some are just tired of seeing this issue grow and grow. I can have the next slide, please. And I have to unfortunately end, but I just want to say there's probably nothing I'm more passionate about. And I really do feel we need all hands on deck. And I'm just so thrilled you're here today. I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for the presentation and for the very important task to take care of the young age, because they are the most vulnerable in all the system. We will continue with the video of Charlene Van Diero, who is the youth representative of Soroptimist International. She is a journalist, a digital media professional, and she's very passionate about addressing the role of artificial intelligence in perpetuating violence against women and girls, advocating for strong digital safeguards and ethical tech practices to protect vulnerable community. Charlene comes from Kenya, and I hope we have the video.
Yeah, we've got it ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlene Wanjiru Njoki, a journalist, a digital media profession, and currently serving as a representative to the United Nations here in Nairobi. And I'm honored to be part of this crucial dialogue on emerging threats against women and girls in the digital era, focusing on artificial intelligence and the psychological abuse tactic known as gaslighting. As we enter an era defined by rapid digital transformation, it is essential to critically assess how these technologies, while offering immense opportunities, also exacerbate inequalities and present new forms of violence. Today, I offer the youth perspective on how we must close the growing gap between technological advancement and the protection of women and girls. According to the United Nations, nearly 85% of women globally have experienced or witnessed online violence. The World Wide Web Foundation reports that 52% of young women have experienced online abuse, with the highest prevalence amongst those aged between 18 to 24. Forms of abuse include cyber stalking, image-based sexual images, doxing, and targeted harassment campaigns. Notably, Amnesty International global survey found out that 76% of women who experience abuse on social media changed how they use the platforms, limiting expression, withdrawing from conversations, or leaving entirely. This violence erodes not only digital safety, but democratic participation, professional advancement, and also mental health. Artificial intelligence has dramatically changed the landscape of online abuse. Deepfake pornography has increased by over 900% in just 3 years. And over 90%, these deepfakes involve women. AI tools can generate convincing fake voices, videos, and text, allowing perpetrators to fabricate entire scenarios, manipulate evidence, or impersonate victims. Algorithm systems have also been shown to disproportionately silence women of color, LGBTQ users, and reinforcing systemic barriers. Gaslighting, when empowered by AI, becomes even more insidious. AI chatbots, targeted disinformation can distort reality and isolate victims through repetitive, tailored psychological manipulation. We are facing a rapidly evolving digital arms race against gender-based violence. Young women and girls bear the brunt of this violence. In the study by Plan International, 1 out of 5 girls reported that harassment led them to leave social media altogether. The psychological effects include anxiety, depression, PTSD, and suicidal ideation. Intersectional identities compound risks. Black women are 84% more likely to be mentioned in abusive tweets than white women. Trans youth face disproportionality a disproportionate level of AI-driven hate and misgendering. The cost of this silence is too high. Digital spaces are our new public squares. If women and girls are excluded from these areas and arenas, their freedom of expression, participation, and leadership are fundamentally undermined. While technology accelerates, protection mechanisms lag behind. Only 1 in 5 countries globally has specific legal frameworks addressing online gender-based violence. Youth perspectives are chronically underrepresented in the digital space and governance, yet young people are the most exposed to this dangerous norm. We have the insights, creativity, and lived experiences to help shape resilient, rights-based digital futures. Bridging the protection gap means investing in youth leadership and redesigning systems with equity, transparency, and accountability at their core. We need a multi-layered, youth-driven approach in the following ways. 1, in policy inclusion. Young people must be included in co-creating laws, governance frameworks on AI and digital safety. The Youth 2030 strategy by the UN provides a roadmap, but we need an implementation. Digital literacy, second part is on digital literacy. Scalable programs should empower young users to recognize manipulation, report abuse, and build resilience. Critical thinking, ethical tech use, and digital rights must be part of the education curriculum. Third, we need survivor-centered design. Platforms must console survivors when building safety tools. AI should not use AI should not use AI should not be used to support victims. Not AI should be used to support victims. Sorry, not just monitor content, but actively prevent harm using trauma-informed and culturally relevant approaches. Also, on the fourth point, we need ethical tech development. We must advocate for inclusive innovation. Women and marginalized youth must be part of AI design teams to ensure technologies are safe by design. To governments, enact and enforce gender-responsive, youth-informed digital rights legislation. Ratify and implement global frameworks that protect against AI-enabled abuse. To technology companies, prioritize transparency, gender audits of algorithm, and survivor-informed safety designs. Create meaningful youth advisory boards within decision-making power. To the civil society, bridge silos, work across generations, disciplines, and borders to amplify youth voices and co-create transformative solutions. The digital future must be a feminist future. Technology is not neutral. Every design decision carries value. Every code embeds assumption. Let us ensure that those values center dignity, justice, and equity for all, especially for those historically silenced. The voice of young people, and especially young women, such as me, are not optional in this fight. We are essential to build a digital world where freedom, safety, and empowerment are not the exception, but the norm. Thank you for listening to me, and let's keep building that world together.
Thank you. That was the voice of the youth. Now we turn on Linda.
The tribal elder.
Knowing that we would like to prolong the whole session, but we are not entitled to, so we have to speed up, unfortunately.
Telling an attorney to speed up will be okay. All right,
Thank you.
so, I think.
First of all, I have to present
Okay.
you. Linda is a retired prosecutor who is currently an advocacy advisor for Soroptimist International and much more organization than that. She's well known at the CSW in New York. Linda has just has been elected as a vice president of the Alliance of NGOs in Vienna. That was on Monday, so we are very happy to have you in this very important position. Linda is a recipient for Outstanding Prosecutor Award and was recently inducted into the Marin County Women's Hall of Fame, where she received a special recognition for her work on a local, regional, and international basis by the US Congress.
The good Congress.
California Senate and Marin County Supervisor. He's a passionate sailor also. And I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, let's go, folks. Let's wake up. First of all, thank you for enjoying the tropical weather here. That will also hasten me to speed up. I'm going to be talking about the rise in cybercrime and the aging of our global population, because they're both presenting additional challenges and undergoing a dramatic and sustained rise worldwide. We are getting a perfect storm. You're looking at statistics that tell you about, and I'm going to be speeding this up now, but I have sites to back everything up if you want down the line. We are talking about an incredible rise in the population of, I'm going to call them tribal elders, but elderly people. And we're talking about an incredible rise in the diversity, creativity, and amount of cyber scams. All right. Now, we're also talking about women. Older women are going to be projected to be the majority of this aging population. And they're already talking about them being very vulnerable to cybercrime, right? And so here we are with the perfect storm. Everything is going way up, and women are right there in the center of the hurricane, right there in the center. And whichever way they go, it's moving, and it's moving fast. So what has been affecting older people? Why are older women more vulnerable? First of all, there's a disproportionate impact on disadvantaged groups, and many women are vulnerable because they're in a disadvantaged economic, social, political environment. Number two, and this is so important, limited digital literacy. It used to be that a woman could make a living without being educated. That's no longer the case. You're not educated, you're not going to be digitally literate, and you're not going to be able to get your services, you're not going to be able to speak your voice, and you're not going to be able to work in this environment. What does that mean? Artificial intelligence and cyber crimes are going to control you. You will not control them. This is not a result we want to have. All right. They're also, because they have less education, have limited experience with technology, and may not understand security warnings or spot suspicious activity. Unfortunately, there are many women and even girls that are no longer, they're not being granted access to technology. They're not being granted access to computers. They don't know what could be happening to them if they put a picture on, for example, their thing about their grandkid, and it has a time and a date and their usual, shall we say, routine. And all of a sudden their grandchild is getting kidnapped. They don't know about that because they haven't been educated about that being one of the things that you have to watch out for. In addition to social isolation, because they're particularly maybe widowed or living alone, they may be more socially isolated. So they're increasingly susceptible to scams by people they think are caring about them. Maybe their family's too far away. And so there they are, they have somebody who's actually caring for them. They may have cognitive and health challenges. It's not their fault if they have maybe not have proper health care. They may be affected more easily. They may be more susceptible. They may not be able to, what shall we do, critical thinking. They may also be shamed of reporting a crime against them, of reporting that they lost all their money because they thought there was this nice young man or this nice young woman that really cared about them. We had one that they not only lost their money, they were sleeping in their car. They were so embarrassed to talk about it to anybody. And when I found that out, we got the people who were doing this, And they were embarrassed by the time we finished with them and were in custody about how cruel they had and how they had destroyed this woman's life. Now, how can it also impact daily life, especially of older women that are illiterate? They have financial harm. They can lose everything. They lose all trust. I think we talked about that in the younger generation. Emotional and psychological effects. That's it. You know, they're supposed to be enjoying the sunset of their life, right? No, maybe they're sleeping in a car now and they're so sad and they feel so defeated. Also disruption of essential services. If you're afraid to go online, if you can't go online, you don't even have the training to go online, you need services, maybe psychology, maybe you need economic, maybe you need just health services, you're not gonna get it. Spread of misinformation. There's some people, older women and older men too, where they look at the misinformation, it's on the computer, therefore it must be right. And they fall and they're duped about that too. Reduced access and participation. The fear of cybercrime may lead to some people being cautious. They're going to avoid being online because they don't want to be a scam. And they don't have anybody to help them navigate. And I think most of you have experienced, except for our young people here, who are very present, that when we wanted to really get something done on the computer, we asked a 10-year-old, right? But you may not have somebody like that in your family. So what are we doing in specific measures to educate elderly women about cybercrime? Well, we're developing design and age-friendly secure devices and apps. We're having automatic security protections that are being put into the computer to ask them, are you sure you want to do this? This may be an unsafe website. We're having cybersecurity education, and this starts with the senior, maybe senior living, with your local community, with maybe the kids that you see in the education. Whichever way we can get to them, we want to get to them. It's never too late to learn. We're having foster peer and community support. I've seen the older people that are technologically savvy helping other people, and they're really great, and it builds a community, and in some cases takes a village. They're using local languages and culture to get through to this vulnerable group. More importantly, they're enabling family or caregiver involvement, and that can include neighbors that they've been depending on for decades. And they can come in and they can show them how to monitor, and they can also monitor them. They can be in constant contact with them. Oh, who's this Joe person? I don't mean any personal Joe here, but who is this person? And all of a sudden they're phoning to, and they want to go to the bank. And the banks, we're training the banks. No. When your older person comes in with someone you don't recognize, does not have a pre-existing relationship, and they're cozying up to this person, no, you're going to ask a whole lot of questions, and you're going to maybe even reach out to law enforcement because there may be a cyber scam afoot. We're going to have regular reminders and updates to them. You know, check on this particular web line, or particular in your community. You have little services. Say, have you done an upgrade lately? If you haven't, here, we have services that we can have you help to do that. Companies can develop specialized monitoring tools and we are encouraging them to do that. Come on, folks. We want to be able not only to be monitoring young people, we want to be able to monitor anybody that's vulnerable. It can be disabled, or it can be someone who's young that's got cognitive disability, and it can be older people who just need to learn and be able to navigate their way around. We also maintain accessible non-digital alternatives, okay? We're not all going to learn in 5 years. Probably some of us are ongoing learning, but we can give them services that they can still walk somewhere or be transported somewhere and get the services they need without going through the online filling forms and navigating. I call it the Alice in Wonderland tool. The population of elderly, less educated women is growing. The risk factors are becoming more pronounced, and we need to make targeted education and support crucial. Support and, shall we say, takes a village to help these particular groups of people. I have talked to local, national, regional, and international groups about this, and you really do have to help all vulnerable people, but especially people who have never had a chance to be educated. We need to get everybody on board, because if we don't, the countries are gonna suffer, the communities are suffering, and the older women who have probably had their whole life raising a family and helping a community and being there for you, it's time for us to be there for them too. Thank you.
Thank you very much for.
Speedy enough?
Wonderful.
I do have citations for all of this.
Yeah,
And more
yeah.
details, yeah.
Yes, no, it's a very important issue also to mention the vulnerability of older women and not so into the whole artificial intelligence business. Thank you everybody for being here and attend this side event. I think that we have a lot to do in order to get this problem fixed on a global level. I thank you for your inputs and ideas and solutions and whatever. And for I hope in the future we can, as well, not only Optimism International but NGOs, work together on creating a good frame and present that to the UNODC and of course the CCPCJ. I would like to thank you for coming. I hope to see some of you at the next meetings of the next stage or at the Prime Congress next year in Abu Dhabi. Thank you.